The black sea of space was silent. Stars burned far away like cold fire, and only the hum of the small human ship broke the silence. Captain Elias sat in the command chair, his eyes heavy with long travel. He had been moving through empty routes for weeks, trading supplies between outposts. Nothing ever happened here. No sound, no danger, just the endless dark. But then his screen flashed. A signal. At first, Elias thought it was only noise, a random echo in the comms. But the sound came again, sharper, almost like a cry. His heart jumped. It was a distress beacon. Who is out here? He whispered to himself. No one was supposed to be near this route. He checked the coordinates. The signal was weak, almost broken, but real. His ship changed course and followed the trail. For long minutes there was only darkness. Then he saw it. A small light drifting among the stars, an escape pod spinning slowly like a dead leaf on water. Elias moved closer, careful and slow. The pod was scarred, half-burned. Something terrible had destroyed the ship it came from. He locked the pod with his grappling system and pulled it into his bay. When the pod door opened, a faint mist came out. The smell was sharp, like burnt metal. Elias lifted his helmet light and looked inside. His breath caught. There was someone inside, a girl. Or at least she looked like one. Her skin was pale silver, faintly glowing. Her hair floated around her like strands of light. She was small, thin, and trembling. Her eyes, half open, glowed faint blue. She looked weak, almost dying. For a moment, Elias froze. He had seen many alien traders and travelers in his time, but never one like this. She looked fragile, like glass that could break with a touch. Easy, easy, Elias said softly, as if speaking to a child. He reached out and helped her out of the pod. Her body felt cold in his arms, almost weightless. The girl whispered something in a broken voice. The words were not human, but the sound was full of fear. Elias could only understand one word from the translator on his wrist. Run. His blood turned cold. Run? From what? Elias carried her to the medical room of his ship. Machines checked her body. She was weak, starving, dehydrated, but alive. The system beeped. No major injuries, but her life signs were unstable. She opened her eyes again and looked at him. The glow inside them was deep, like a sky full of storms. She tried to speak again, her voice soft but urgent. The translator stuttered. They will come. You not understand, Elias frowned. Who will come? He asked. But she had already fallen back into sleep. He sat back in the chair, watching her. His mind raced. Who was she? What had destroyed her ship? And who was they? He returned to the cockpit and checked the wreck site. Scans showed twisted metal, sharp energy burns. Not pirates. Not an accident. It looked like a hunt. Someone had destroyed that ship on purpose, and now she was on his ship. For the first time in years, Elias felt a cold edge of fear. The galaxy was full of dangers, but this was different. This girl was no ordinary traveler. She was running from something powerful enough to burn an entire ship to ash. He looked back through the small glass window into the med bay. She lay there, small and fragile, almost peaceful in sleep. She looked harmless. But her words echoed in his mind. They will come. You don't understand. The ship hummed in the silence. Elias checked his sensors again, scanning the black sea around him. Nothing yet. Only stars. Only silence. But in that silence, his gut told him the truth. This was not the end. This was only the beginning, he whispered to himself. What have I pulled aboard? The girl's chest rose and fell softly as she slept, but every flicker of the ship's lights, every shadow in the corners, made Elias feel as if the dark itself was watching. He tightened his grip on the command chair. His journey had just turned into something else, something dangerous, something he could not yet see. And somewhere out there in the endless void, something was already searching for her. Captain Elias moved quickly through the narrow halls of his ship. The alien girl lay on the medical bed, her faint glow lighting the cold room. Machines around her beeped softly, scanning her body. Her skin looked too thin, like moonlight stretched over bone. He had seen injured soldiers, broken miners, even sick travelers from far planets, but never anyone who looked so fragile. He pulled out emergency rations. Human food would not work, so he used the ship's translator to scan her biology. After long minutes, the system created a liquid mixture that could feed her. Elias lifted her head gently and touched the cup to her lips. At first, she did not move. Then slowly she sipped. The glow in her eyes flickered like weak fire catching life again. You'll be okay, Elias whispered, though he was not sure if it was true. She blinked at him. Her lips moved, but only a soft sound came out. The translator struggled. Finally, words formed. Thank you, Elias sat back, surprised. She could speak, even if broken. He nodded. You're safe here, but was she? The ship's system showed strange energy spikes since the moment he had pulled her pod inside. The spikes were not strong, but they were unusual, unlike anything he had seen. He tried to ignore it. Maybe it was just the damaged pod leaking power. Yet deep inside he knew something was not right. The girl coughed, her body shaking, and Elias helped her sit. She studied him with wide, glowing eyes, as if trying to understand who he was. Her voice came again, soft and halting. You, human? Yes, Elias said. I'm Captain Elias, what's your name? She hesitated, then whispered, Lyra. The name felt light, almost like music. Elias repeated it softly. She gave a weak smile, and for a moment she looked almost human, just a scared, lost child who needed help. Still, Elias kept his guard. He had traveled the galaxy long enough to know every meeting had two sides, what you saw and what was hidden. As the hours passed, Lyra grew a little stronger. She drank more of the mixture and asked simple questions. What, help me? She asked once, her voice trembling. Elias shrugged. Because you needed it. That's what humans do. Her eyes narrowed as if studying the truth in his words. Others, not help. Others, kill. That answer made Elias stiffen. Others? Who were these others she spoke of? The memory of her whisper in the pod returned. They will come. He tried to push the thought aside. Later, while she slept, Elias returned to the cockpit. The logs from her escape pod were scrambled, but fragments showed enough. A massive energy surge had destroyed her ship. It wasn't an accident. The strike was sharp, precise. A hunter's strike, he rubbed his face. What did I just bring aboard? As he thought, the ship's lights flickered. A low hum rose from the walls like static running through the circuits. Elias frowned and checked the power grid. All normal. But the hum continued, softer, like a whisper inside the metal. When he returned to the medical bay, the hum stopped. Lyra was awake, sitting upright. Her glowing eyes followed him as he entered. You stay? She asked. Yes, he said slowly. She tilted her head. Alone? Long time? Elias gave a dry laugh. Too long. For a moment, it almost felt normal. Two travelers talking on a lonely ship. But then Lyra's expression changed. Her eyes grew sharp, almost frightened. She whispered, dark ones. Follow. Elias leaned closer. Who are they? Her body shook. Hunters, not stop. Never stop. They smell me. The translator crackled with each broken word, but the meaning was clear. Whoever had destroyed her ship was still searching, and she believed they would not stop until they found her. Elias looked at the door, then back at her. You're safe now. They won't find you here. But the words felt empty even to himself. He had seen too many battles to believe safety was so simple. That night, or what passed as night in space, Lyra slept again. Elias watched her through the glass. Her face was calm, almost peaceful. Yet when she dreamed, strange things happened. The ship's lights dimmed, the air grew cold, and the monitors flickered. It was as if her presence touched every machine, every wire. Elias felt a chill down his spine. Was she causing it, or was something else coming closer? He wanted to believe she was only a lost girl, weak and in need. But deep inside, a voice warned him. Nothing this strange ever comes without danger, still he could not abandon her. Not now. He had made a promise, spoken or unspoken, that she was safe with him. As he sat in the dark cockpit, watching the stars, he whispered to himself, You'd better not get me killed. Lyra, and far away. In the endless black, something stirred. The ship drifted through endless night, its engines humming low, carrying two unlikely souls across the stars. Captain Elias sat in the cockpit, eyes half on the glowing radar and half on the memory of the fragile girl now sleeping in the medical bay. He had saved lives before, miners from broken stations, soldiers from dying ships, but something about Lyra was different. She wasn't just lost. She carried a mystery that wrapped around her like a shadow. When she woke again, she walked slowly into the cockpit. Her steps were soft, her silver skin shining faintly in the dim light. Elias turned surprised. You should be resting, he said. Stronger now, she whispered. Her voice still broke on words, but the translator filled the gaps. She looked around the cockpit, her glowing eyes scanning every screen, every button with the curiosity of a child. "This your home?" Elias gave a small smile. "For now. A moving home." Lyra tilted her head, studying him. "Alone?" "Always," he replied. For a moment, silence filled the cockpit. Then Lyra touched the glass window, her fingers leaving faint trails of light. "Alone is heavy," she whispered. The words struck him deeper than he expected. He thought of the years he had spent traveling with no one but his ship's hum for company. He thought of the faces he had lost long ago. He said nothing, but Lyra seemed to see the answer in his eyes. As the hours passed, she asked more questions. Simple, direct, almost too sharp for someone so weak. "Wait, help me?" she asked again, though she had asked before. Elias looked at her carefully. "Because that's what we do, humans. We protect the weak." Her gaze lingered on him, deep and searching. Finally, she nodded slowly, as if testing the truth of his words. Later, she sat near the control panel, watching the stars pass by. She told fragments of her story. Her people had been travelers, moving from world to world, learning, never fighting. But then came the Dark Ones, as she called them. They destroyed her ship. They killed without reason. Her voice trembled when she spoke, but Elias noticed something odd. She spoke of her people with warmth, but when she spoke of the Dark Ones, her words came too smooth, too calm, as if she knew more than she admitted. Still, Elias listened. He wanted to believe her. One night, or what passed for night, Elias dozed in the cockpit chair. A faint sound woke him. A soft hum, not from the ship, but from Lyra. She sat curled in the corner, eyes closed, glowing faintly brighter than before. The ship's lights flickered again, just as they had when she first arrived. Elias stood and stepped closer. The hum grew louder, rising from her chest like a pulse. The monitors on the walls flickered with strange symbols he did not recognize. "Lyra," he whispered. Her eyes snapped open, bright like fire. For a second, Elias felt the weight of something vast and ancient staring at him through those small eyes. Then, just as suddenly, the glow dimmed. She blinked and looked weak again. "What, wrong?" she asked softly, as if nothing had happened. Elias shook his head. "Nothing. You should rest," but inside his heart raced. That wasn't nothing. That was power. And it scared him. The next day, she followed him around the ship. She asked about every tool, every room, every control. She laughed weakly when he told small jokes. She even tried to help, though her strength was still fragile. Slowly, a bond grew between them. Not just protector and rescued, but something deeper. Elias began to see her not as a burden, but as a companion in his lonely journey. Yet the ship itself told a different story. Every time she touched a screen, the circuits trembled. Every time she dreamed, the air grew cold. Every time she looked into the dark, Elias felt the sense that something looked back. Still, when she smiled at him, soft, almost shy, he pushed the fear down. For the first time in years, he wasn't alone, but deep inside, a voice whispered, "She isn't what she seems." And in the far edges of his radar, just for a moment, a faint blip appeared. Something was out there, following. Then it was gone. Elias stared at the screen, his jaw tight. He looked at Lyra, who now sat humming softly to herself, her glowing eyes watching the stars. Was she really the victim she claimed to be? Or was she the reason danger was closing in? Either way, Elias knew one thing. Their bond was growing, and with it, so was the risk. The silence of space broke with a sharp alarm. Elias shot up from the cockpit chair, eyes fixed on the radar. Red lights flashed across the screen. "Contacts detected. Multiple ships." Closing fast, his heart pounded. He had flown through pirate zones, smugglers' lanes, even war zones. But the feeling crawling up his spine now was different. These ships were not random. They were hunting. "Lyra," he shouted. The alien girl hurried into the cockpit, her glowing eyes wide. The radar reflected in her face like burning fire. She froze when she saw it. Her voice trembled. "They found me." Elias clenched his fists. "Who are they?" Her answer was soft, broken. "Dark Ones, hunters, smell my blood." The radar beeped faster. 3 ships, then 4. They were fast, faster than his cargo hauler should be able to outrun. Elias slammed a button. "Hold on." Engines roared. The ship shook as it jumped into full thrust, streaking past the stars. The enemy ships followed, sharp and hungry, their red lights blinking like predators in the night. The chase began. Asteroids loomed ahead, a drifting field of rock and ice. Elias steered hard, weaving between jagged stones. Massive shadows passed by the windows, fragments of worlds broken long ago. The enemy ships followed with terrifying precision, their weapons charging. Bolts of blue energy cut across the dark, exploding against the rocks near them. The ship rattled. Sparks lit up the cockpit. Elias cursed, gripping the controls tighter. "Can you make them stop tracking you?" he shouted at Lyra. Tears welled in her eyes. "I cannot. They feel me. Always." Elias gritted his teeth. "Then I'll make sure they don't catch us." He dived deeper into the asteroid field, the engines screaming. Rocks slammed against the hull, alarms blaring. One enemy ship clipped a stone and exploded in fire. But the others kept coming, faster, closer. Elias's ship spun, rolled, dodged. His hands moved with the sharp instinct of years in space, but sweat ran down his face. The hunters were too good. This wasn't random fire. They knew every move. The cockpit shook again. A blast ripped through the lower deck. Warning lights flashed red. "Hull breach detected. Elias!" Lyra cried, grabbing the chair. "We die." "Not today," he growled. He spotted a gap ahead, a narrow tunnel of rock twisting through the asteroids. Too small, too dangerous, but it was his only chance. He slammed the thrusters and dove in. The ship scraped against stone, sparks flying outside the window. The enemy followed. Blue blasts streaked past them, shaking the ship harder with each near hit. Elias's breath came sharp, his eyes burning as he focused. One mistake and they would both be vapor. Lyra clung to his shoulder, whispering something strange, not translated. The words rolled like a chant. Suddenly the cockpit lights flickered. The engines surged stronger and the ship leapt forward with unnatural speed. Elias glanced at her. Her eyes glowed brighter than before, almost blinding. "What are you doing?" Her voice was soft but firm. "Helping." He didn't have time to question it. The ship burst out of the tunnel, spinning into open space. Behind them, one hunter ship struck the rock wall and exploded in a blinding flash. Another spun out, damaged. Only one remained on their tail. It fired again. A blast tore past them, grazing the side. Elias pushed every ounce of power into the thrusters, the ship screaming in protest. The last hunter closed in. Its weapons glowed bright, ready to strike. Elias thought fast. He cut the engines for half a second, letting the ship drop into the pull of a massive asteroid nearby. The hunter overshot, streaking ahead. Elias reignited the thrusters and swung up, firing his only defense cannon. The blast hit. The hunter ship exploded in fire and fragments scattering into the void. Silence returned. Elias slumped back in the chair, chest heaving. Sweat dripped down his face. The alarms faded, leaving only the low hum of the ship's damaged engines. Lyra sat beside him, trembling, her glow dimmer now. Her eyes met his, full of both fear and something else. Guilt. "You saved me," she whispered. Elias turned, his voice rough. "No, you saved us. Whatever you did back there, that wasn't just luck." She lowered her head. Dangerous. I told you." He stared at her for a long moment. She looked small again, fragile, almost childlike. But Elias now knew there was more inside her than weakness. Power. A power strong enough to change the course of a chase that should have killed them both. He leaned back, closing his eyes. "You're going to tell me everything, Lyra. No more secrets." Outside, the field of asteroids drifted in silence, hiding the fire and death left behind. But Elias knew this was only a small battle. The hunters would come again, and next time they would not stop until they had her. The ship drifted in silence after the chase, its hull scarred and engines weak. Elias sat in the cockpit, staring at the dim glow of the screens. His hands still shook from the fight, but his mind was on something else. He had seen Lyra's power. That surge of energy, that unnatural push. It wasn't human, and it wasn't simple alien biology. It was something greater, something hidden. She sat quietly at the edge of the room, hugging her knees, her silver skin faint in the light. Her eyes were lowered, as if she already knew what he was thinking. "You're going to tell me the truth now," Elias said, his voice firm. "No more fragments. No more half-words." She didn't move at first. The ship's hum filled the silence. Then slowly she looked up. Her eyes glowed, not softly this time, but sharp like cold fire. "You, not ready," she whispered. "Try me," Elias snapped. Lyra's lips trembled. She closed her eyes, took a slow breath, then spoke again. Her words came broken, but the translator patched them together. They did not chase me because of what I know. They chased me because of what I am, Elias frowned. What do you mean? Her hands pressed against her chest over her heart. Inside me is seed, a weapon, planted by the Dark Ones. They hunt me because I am theirs. The word struck Elias like a blow. He stepped closer, his jaw tight. You're telling me you're carrying something of theirs? That you're one of them? No. Her voice cracked, desperate. I am not them. I am me, but they made me, used me. I was born to be their trap. Elias stared, his mind racing. It explained the strange hum, the flickering lights, the unnatural energy. She wasn't just an innocent survivor. She was the reason the hunters never lost her trail. She was the beacon pulling them across the stars. You let me bring you aboard, Elias growled. You've put me, my ship, and every human colony I visit at risk. Her eyes filled with tears, glowing faintly like broken stars. I begged to die with my people, but they forced me into the pod. I did not choose this. Elias turned away, pacing across the cockpit. His chest felt heavy, his mind torn. She had warned him from the start. They will come, you don't understand. But he hadn't listened. He thought she was just afraid, weak, hunted. Instead, she was the reason for the hunt. The console beeped. He checked the logs again, digging deeper into the ship's systems. What he found made his blood run cold. Every time Lyra had touched the controls, every time she had dreamed, her body sent out faint pulses of energy, signals, invisible to him, but clear as a shout to the hunters. She wasn't just a passenger, she was a living transmitter. God help me, Elias muttered under his breath. Behind him, her soft voice came again. I never wanted this. He turned, anger and pity mixing in his chest. Then what do you want, Lyra? To hide forever? To drag me down with you? Because that's what's happening. She stood slowly, her legs shaking. I want freedom. I want to be more than their weapon. I want to choose. Her voice cracked on the last word, but there was fire in her eyes. Elias saw it. Not the glow of the seed inside her, but something else. A will, still he couldn't shake the truth. If she stayed with him, the hunters would never stop. If she reached human space, she could lead death straight to his people. For the first time, the thought of abandoning her cut through his mind. Drop her pod in the void, cut the trail, save himself, save others. She seemed to feel it as if she could read the storm in his head. If you kill me, she whispered, I will understand. But know this. If you save me, I will fight them. I will fight for you. Elias clenched his fists. The choice clawed at him. She was both danger and hope, both victim and weapon. He had promised himself he would protect the weak. But what if this weakness was only the shell of something that could destroy them all? The silence between them grew heavy. Outside, the stars drifted like cold eyes watching. Elias finally sank into the chair, rubbing his face. You'd better be telling me the truth, he said at last, his voice low. Lyra stepped closer. Her small hand, cold and trembling, touched his arm. I swear. For a moment her glow dimmed, soft and almost human. Elias wanted to believe her. He needed to. But in the back of his mind, one thought would not leave. If she truly was their creation, then saving her might doom them both. Captain Elias sat alone in the cockpit, his hands gripping the controls though the ship drifted in quiet space. His mind churned louder than the engines. Lyra's confession echoed through him again and again. Inside me is a seed, a weapon. Planted by the Dark Ones, he had faced pirates, mercenaries, smugglers, danger he understood. But this was different. This was not a fight of blasters and ships. This was a fight of trust, of choice. If he kept her aboard, the hunters would come. They would follow until they tore him apart, until they reached human colonies. But if he abandoned her, she would die, weak, alone, and afraid. And he had sworn never to leave the helpless behind. The weight of the choice pressed down on him like the Black Sea outside. Lyra sat near the window, her knees drawn to her chest. Her silver glow dimmed, almost fading. She looked smaller than ever, like a candle burning down to its last light. She watched him, her eyes wide, searching his face for an answer. You don't trust me, she said softly. Elias turned, his jaw tight. You lied to me. I warned you, she whispered. From the start I said they will come. I told you. I am dangerous. Dangerous. Elias snapped. He rose from his chair, his voice rough. You're more than dangerous. You're a signal, Lyra. Every second you're here, you're a beacon screaming to the stars, here we are. Come kill us. Tears welled in her glowing eyes. I did not choose this. They forced it into me. I never wanted it, her voice cracked and Elias froze. She looked so fragile, so broken. But at the same time, he remembered the surge of power when she had helped them escape. She was both the weakest creature he had ever seen and the most dangerous. He turned away, pacing the cockpit. If I take you back to human space, you could doom millions. If I leave you, I'll break the promise I made when I pulled you from that pod. Silence hung heavy between them. Only the hum of the ship filled the void. Finally, she spoke again, her words trembling. Kill me then. Elias spun stunned. Her voice was calm, though her body shook. If you cannot trust me, if I'm too dangerous, end it now. I will not fight you. The sight of her, small, weak, offering her life so simply, burned in Elias' chest. He had seen soldiers beg for mercy, pirates plead for gold, but never someone who offered death because they feared their own existence. He lowered his voice, almost a whisper. Is that what you want? Her eyes met his, glowing like dying stars. No, I want to live. I want to be free. But if my life destroys others, then better I end here. The words cut him deeper than any blade. Elias sat heavily in his chair, burying his face in his hands. He could not do it. Not to her. Not like this. Killing her might save others, but it would also kill the very thing that made him human, his will to protect. He took a deep breath. I'm not killing you. Her lips parted, her breath catching. Then you trust me? No, Elias said firmly. Not yet. But I believe you want to be more than what they made you. That's enough for now. She nodded slowly, tears slipping down her pale face. Thank you, but his mind was not at peace. The hunters would not stop. They would come again, and next time they might not escape. The only way forward was to use her secret, the seed inside her. Not as the enemy intended, but as a weapon against them. He leaned forward, his voice steady. Lyra, if I protect you, if I keep you alive, then you fight with me. Not against me. With me, her eyes glowed brighter. She nodded. Yes, I fight. For the first time, Elias felt something shift inside him. Not safety, not trust, but resolve. He had made his choice. He would not abandon her. He would not kill her. He would fight with her, even if it meant walking into the fire. Outside, the stars stretched cold and endless, the void silent for now. But Elias knew the silence would not last. The hunters would return. They always did. He looked at Lyra, small and glowing beside him, and whispered to himself, God help us both. The stars outside burned cold as Elias's ship drifted through the endless dark. The wounds of the last chase still scarred the hull, and the engines groaned with every adjustment. Yet Elias's thoughts were heavier than the damage. He had chosen to keep Lyra alive. He had chosen to fight with her. But the question gnawed at him. Had he chosen salvation or doom? Lyra sat across from him in the cockpit, her silver glow faint but steady. For hours she had been silent, staring out into the void. Elias wondered what thoughts lived behind those glowing eyes. Fear, hope, or secrets she still hadn't told him. The silence broke when the radar screamed. Elias looked up. His chest tightened. They were back. 5 enemy ships appeared at the edge of the scan, closing in fast. Larger this time, sharper, more dangerous. The dark ones weren't hunting. They were here to end it. Lyra's face paled, though she was already pale as moonlight. They know, she whispered. They feel the seed. They will not stop, Elias' jaw tightened. Then we make our stand. He pulled the ship into a hard turn, engines burning. But he knew the truth. They couldn't outrun this fleet. His ship was old, wounded, and slow. This would be their last fight. The hunters spread out like wolves surrounding them. Blue energy crackled at their weapons, ready to tear him apart. Elias aimed his cannons, but deep down he knew human steel wouldn't be enough. He looked at Lyra. If there's anything else you haven't told me, now's the time. Her eyes glowed brighter, almost blinding. The seed inside me, it is not only a beacon. It is power. Power to destroy. But if I use it, I may not return. I may not be me. The words hit Elias like a hammer. She was offering to unleash the very weapon the Dark Ones had planted in her. But using it meant risking her soul. Risking that the enemy would take her mind completely. The enemy ships closed in. Time was running out. Elias leaned closer, his voice firm. Listen to me, Lyra, you are not theirs. You are not a weapon. You are more than what they made you. If you use that power, you use it for yourself, for freedom, for us. Do you understand? Her eyes filled with tears glowing like liquid fire. She nodded. Yes, the first blast hit. The ship shook violently, alarm screaming. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Elias gripped the controls, forcing the ship into a desperate roll, but the hunters boxed them tighter. Now, Lyra, he shouted. She rose from her seat, her body trembling, her glow spreading until it lit the whole cockpit. Symbols flickered across the screen, strange and alien, as if the ship itself bowed to her presence. Her voice became a whisper and a roar at once. I am not yours. The light exploded from her, bursting through the ship's hull like a star being born. The enemy fleet shuddered. Their weapons flickered. One ship broke apart instantly, its metal peeling like paper. Another spun out, consumed in fire, but the glow around Lyra grew harsher, wilder. Elias saw her face twist with pain, her body trembling as if it might shatter. Stay with me, Elias cried, reaching for her. Don't let them take you. Her scream filled the ship, shaking the walls. Outside, 2 more hunter ships exploded in waves of white fire. Only one remained, circling, trying to escape the storm. Lyra's light dimmed suddenly, flickering like a candle in the wind. She collapsed, and Elias caught her in his arms. Her eyes fluttered, glowing faintly. Elias, I am still me, but... It hurts, he held her tight. You did it. You destroyed them. But her head shook weakly. Not destroyed. More will come. Always more. The seed is forever. Elias's chest ached. She had saved them, but the truth was brutal. The Dark Ones had built her not as a single weapon, but as a living curse, a transmitter of endless war. Even if they survived today, tomorrow would bring another hunt. Still, Elias looked down at her small, trembling form and felt the fire of resolve burn inside him. He had made his choice, and he would not turn back. Then we fight again, he said firmly, as long as it takes. They want a weapon. Fine, but you're not their weapon. You're ours. Humanity's. Lyra's lips curved into the faintest smile, her glow warming just a little. Together. Outside, the last hunter ship fled into the void, carrying the promise of war yet to come. Elias sat in the ruined cockpit, Lyra resting against him, and whispered into the endless night, If you want humanity, you'll have to go through us both. The stars burned cold, but inside that small, broken ship, a new fire had been lit, fragile, defiant, and ready to burn against the darkness.